President Trump called his meeting with Xi Jinping a great success. He also stated that Taiwan was not discussed in the closed-door meeting. In parallel, reports indicate that U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports may be cut following the meeting. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs, broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host, and I have a very distinguished, very respected personality who is very expert on international issues, professor of Dhaka University on International Affairs, Dr. Imtiaz, my very favorite, and we have our International Affairs commentator Shamsul Pantho in the studio. And from Washington, we will have our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington DC, Norman Flatt Barnes, and from Paris, we will get Biodiversity Committee President Miss Evita Svedlova. She will be joining very soon. Let me begin from Washington because Norman is continuously following his president's East Asia trip and the meeting with Xi Jinping Chinese counterpart. Norman, give us your first take. What are you following? What are you learning? And what you want to share with us in the beginning of the show?
Good morning from Washington, D.C. Today we celebrate another day of positive action. Our president is being productive in Asia. He had a very productive meeting in South Korea. He's obviously had a very positive outcome meeting in China. The trade problems appear to be put aside. China and the United States have come to agreement where they can now reduce the tariffs and free up the use of earth minerals to get back into the trade situation. So this morning we wake up hoping that things will increase in areas of trade, and it appears to be a positive day. Hopefully that will spill over to the economy in the United States, give people some hope and some optimism looking forward.
Norman, thank you. Let me get the take from our International Affairs commentator Shamsul Pantho. I want to add one question for you too regarding this meeting. What were the key strategic goals for both the leader, President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping, going into this meeting, and did either side achieve the goals or objectives?
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan, for passing me the mantle. I want to welcome Professor Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed in the studio, as well as those who are joining us through Zoom. Of course, Norman Flatt Barnes and Evita Svedlova from France. But let me answer your question regarding Xi Jinping and Donald Trump's meeting that was held in Busan, South Korea. And of course, it would be the first time in 6 years that the two leaders had met. The last time was in June 2019 in the G20 summit held in Japan. But the two leaders had sit down across the table from one another, and it was joined by the top brass of each other's administration. In the U.S. side included Marco Rubio, while the Chinese side had Wang Yi, the two who have discussed and made sure that this meeting could take place. Of course, Xi Jinping had appreciated Donald Trump's effort in mediating or having a contribution between Thailand and Cambodia, and of course his efforts inside the Gaza ceasefire. But of course the trade negotiations included the Chinese purchase of US soybeans, which is quite important for the US economy, and of course they had spoken about how they can look forward in the coming days. Donald Trump had made sure that he commented saying that a rare earths agreement had been reached. Not much more of this agreement is given in the international media, but one thing that came out is that Donald Trump may visit China in the upcoming year in April.
Right, sir. Before I go to our very distinguished professor, I just want to quote one a comment from CNN. Wolf Blitz just says, United States has so many things in its hand to control or push tariffs, but China has only one thing, that is rare earth, which will be their number one things to negotiate. I want to go to Professor Imtiaz. Sir, before I go to the question, I just want to request you to put your first introductory speech along with this question. With Trump calling the meeting a great success, what concrete policy outcomes such as tariff reductions or trade deals can we actually expect?
Thank you very much. No, this is typical of Donald Trump, the way he pursues diplomacy and international relations. He creates a lot of hype, sometimes a lot of fear, but he knows what he has to do. I think given the state of US economy, given its international obligations, United States knows very well that it cannot push things too far. It has to come to a level where, yes, it will seek advantages, and it is seeking advantages from different countries, including its close allies. Don't forget, this time it's not only those who see United States differently, but long-term friends, and he has been very straightforward, telling them that no, you have to pay also. It's not like you can have free lunch forever. So I think with China, it's quite expected. What I see is the United States becoming a normal country. Let's put, I want to use that word. Don't forget, there have been other powers in the world who also had very, big empires. Look at Spain, look at Portugal. But today they have become normal countries. UK also is on the way of becoming a normal country. I think it's time for the United States also to become a normal country. Look at the United States' own problems, and not reach out globally where the reach out becomes problematic. So the deal with Xi Jinping was quite a positive outcome. We have to see how much it holds, but it's not only rare earth. I would say the very fact the deal was done on soybean will also tell you that the United States also needs the China's market, and vice versa. So the quicker all these powers stop thinking that they can be the only sole power and dictate everything, and the quicker they realize that the world is moving towards a multipolar world, yes, I think we will have all these arrangements coming up.
Very, very significant words and lines sir has used. That's why you become so much popular and very well respected to the respected viewers as well. I want to welcome Evita Swedlova. She is the founder president of Biodiversity Committee. She is joining us from Paris, France, one of the very respected personality in climate change and biodiversity issues. She also works with the United Nations, different organizations, as Goodwill Ambassador and Brand Ambassador of United Nations. Evita, welcome, but I will come to you a little bit later. Let me put a question to Norman Flatt Barnes. One important question has been raised by the United States allies country, those who are very concerned about the Taiwan issue. The question I prepared for Norman is, the two leaders reportedly did not discuss Taiwan. How significant is that omission for regional stability in the Indo-Pacific? Because Taiwan itself expressed its concern why Donald Trump is doing a business trip, not a political or regional stability he is giving the importance. Norman Flatt Barnes, this question is very important for Taiwan as well.
Yes, your question, the answer lies in your question itself, is that it was strategically omitted because the Trump administration is very aware that Taiwan is a very touchy issue with China. And the United States had an objective is to basically come to agreement about the rare earth minerals using the tariffs as a bargaining tool and not the issue of Taiwan. So by not talking about it, by not discussing it, both parties are aware of it. It gave the United States more leverage and it gave an option for China to come to agreement where we know that both parties need each other. We have minerals, they have things they need to get done, and they was able to save face. So by not discussing the issue, it allowed them the freedom to come to this type of conclusion where both parties can save face and we can move on with the trade commerce of the world and not be, I guess, stifled by the issue with Taiwan. The issue of Taiwan is still there, but is not being discussed on the surface. So it gave both parties some breathing room.
All right, let me go to Paris. Evita Svedlova is over there. Before I do a question to Evita, I must give you the updates of Hurricane Melissa, right, sir? A record-breaking storm hit Jamaica as a Category 5, leaving massive damage and over 500,000 people without power. It is now tracking over Cuba. Probably Cuba already attacked. And that's why I invited Evita Svedlova today. This is the effects of climate change. This is the effects of biodiversity. Evita, my first question for you, how can nations balance economic development with the urgent need to protect global biodiversity, climate change and prevent mass accidents like this, natural calamities like this? Evita Svedlova.
Good morning. I believe that if we want to lead the corruption and balance the economy worldwide, we need to create something like World Peace Summit. It's will be better with maybe like 40G than 20Gs. It must be a little bit more larger to take the importance, where the negotiation of the peace between all the world leaders becoming more important, and they will face better projects for the planet. I don't see to stop the corruption without bringing peace and balance to this planet. First, it's there are some humans suffering with they cannot even say what they feel and how they feel because they cannot talk. And if the leaders did not represent those voices from the other countries, it will be very complicated to change something just like that. We need to bring together all the world leaders, and they have to take important decisions for the planet. I don't see it another way.
All right, Evita, please stay on the line. I have more questions for you on the same topics. Before I go to Shamsul Alam Panto, our international affairs commentator, sir, I just want to do a question like this. It is a tricky or diplomatic question. Sir, could this meeting between President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping mark the start of a new era of cooperation, or it is merely a tactical pause in the ongoing US-China rivalry?
Well, thank you for the question. At this moment, the two foreign ministers have discussed and made sure of this meeting that happened in South Korea. But how far so and how long we can expect such results? Let me give you a recap of the tariff war that Donald Trump had imposed on not only China but 70 other nations that have caused a big trading gap between the United States of America and all of these economies. That is one. And on the sidelines of this meeting, Donald Trump's administration had made new deals with South Korea. I'll just give the info that South Korea has agreed to pay almost US $350 billion for lowering the tariffs charged against them by the United States. And in addition, South Korea agreed to buy US oil and gas in vast quantities, which may exceed almost 600 billion US dollars. So that is how the United States and South Korea plan on in the coming days. But as for your question between China and United States of America, you know, just a couple of days ago, the Chinese CCP had its 15th five-year meeting, which is a meeting of all the leaders of the CCP to understand what is the goal for the next 5 years. And this was just before the two sides had a meeting in South Korea. Of course, every country out there, and especially United States and China, is trying to understand what are the major takeaways and what is beneficial to each other's economies. Once again, United States is now dealing with a government shutdown, a federal government shutdown. I want our viewers to understand how detrimental it is to their economy. The shutdown is on day 29th today, and the federal government budget office says that the American economy could cost the American economy somewhere between 7 billion to 14 billion US dollars, and the fourth quarter gross domestic product GDP could be gone down by 2%. This is according to the Congressional Budget Office.
Right, sir. Sir, let me be honest. Whenever I get Professor Imtiaz in the studio or online, whenever I prepare question for sir, I have to be very cautious because I'm very selfish to get the bottom line of the discussion. That's why I want to do a question like this. Sir, how might this summit between US President Donald Trump and Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, the top two superpowers of the world economically, militarily, according to other aspects too, my question is, how might this summit impact a smaller economic and allies in Asia like Japan, South Korea, Philippines, ASEAN members caught between US and China, influence or dominance? Sir, I want to get the position of Bangladesh also in this question.
Very good. Okay, that's quite a big question. Yes. Let's look at some of the developments. I think what is happening globally is that we are moving towards a multipolar world, and this multipolar world is not a rigid one. It's going to be fluid multipolar world, and the reason why it's fluid multipolar world is largely because of globalization, largely because the production has become international. You can't have everything produced in one place and sell it also. Keep in mind, soybean you produce more in the United States, but you have to sell it outside. Yes, you have rare earth minerals, you have to export somewhere else also for your technology to work also. So the point here is you are moving to a multipolar world. It's quite natural for power which had the privilege of remaining a unipolar for many years or even a bipolar for many years, not to give up easily, because the mindset has not been created, the structures have not been created. But one can easily see the transformation that is taking place. One or two examples I think would help you understand. Back in 1980, Europe's economy was 10 times larger than China's in 1980. Today, it's almost equal.
Yes.
And I mean the collective Europe, where you have France, Germany, all these countries.
29 countries.
Yeah, in 1980, 10 times larger. Today, it's almost at par. But by 2050, Europe's economy will be only half of China's economy. So, one can see the transformation. There's no way. And just last week, reports got published that Germany's major trading regime China has become the largest trading regime. Just last week they have published the report. Even this year, Japan's largest trading regime is China. So given that complicity, if I can use the word, one can easily see that this multipolar world would be the future. What I think is required is for each of these countries to become normal countries. That's what I say. But if you want to be again a superpower and a great power and dictate to your liking, that I'm afraid that's not going to work, because there are enough number of powers now, or enough number of polars who would resist that particular thing. And also, since you have asked for Bangladesh, I think Bangladesh is in an interesting position, because historically we have kept relationships with all the countries. We have not alienated any country. Anyone coming to Bangladesh, we welcome it. What Bangladesh needs to do now, particularly when it comes to the issue of security, because that is where a lot of tension, and a lot of Bangladeshis, there are some Bangladeshis who think that we should now tilt to one and not to other. There also I said no, Bangladesh should start becoming creative. And the word that I use, I just flagged it in several of the platforms that we have in Bangladesh. Bangladesh needs to become a net security receiver. What it means, if you look at Djibouti, Djibouti is an interesting country where they have military bases of all the known countries, US, China, Italy, France, even Japan. Okay, I think Djibouti has shown the way that you can become a net security receiver. So in the context of Bangladesh also, when it comes to development, we have to be with everyone, because we buy certain things with certain countries, we repackage them or reprocess them, and we sell to other countries, and that's how we make profit. Right. So given that context, on the issue of security, if we can become a net security receiver, NSR, telling all the countries you are most welcome, but we can't be only with one, because if we be with only one, then the other countries will try to create problems for us.
Because we believe friendship to all, marriage.
That's one of the way of looking at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the breaking news. That's why we have to shift from the subject. Despite a ceasefire agreement brokered earlier, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 104 people, including 35 children. The situation is described as a fragile peace, and analysts question whether, in case fire is valid, the humanitarian situation remains severe. Aid delivery shattering and civilian safety are major concern. Let me catch up Norman Flood Barnes. Norman, how does the latest Israeli airstrikes killing over 104 people, including 35 children, affect the credibility of the recently brokered ceasefire agreement by Donald Trump himself?
The issue in the Middle East comes down to this. There has to be a understanding that there need to be a two-state solution. And the solution involves the Palestinian having their own government, the Israeli coming to terms with Hamas, how they're going to deal with Hamas. Hamas has to make a decision how they're going to coexist in the region. The ceasefire will not be successful as long as these factors are still on the table. There always will be someone who will violate on Hamas side and the Israeli side. There'll be justification for hostilities. The core issue has to be addressed. We got to the point where the hostages are home, but the core issue, the reason why this conflict is in place, has to be put on the table, and it has to be addressed by the two parties on how they're going to coexist. Not one party over the other. There will never be a situation where Israel will have total dominance, and there'll be never a situation where Hamas will be totally eliminated from the area. So the two parties have to understand that until this happens and there's trust, we will still have these conflicts, and the ceasefire will never be successful.
All right, our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto has a counter response from this, because I am talking the same subject with him since last couple of months. Sir, to what extent can Israel's military action can be justified as self-defense when the death toll heavily includes civilians and children? Number is 104, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. I want to differ with something that Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes was saying. that the two-state solution must be implemented under any cost. This is what the theory tells us, that they must coexist. But given the things in the battlefield, tells me that before the ceasefire, almost 100 deaths was there per day. Of course, after the ceasefire, there is now a total number of deaths of 100. So, the severity of the Israeli attack has gone down. However, there is certain things that I want to let our viewers know. The Israeli cabinet has approved a construction of 1,300 new settlements south of occupied East Jerusalem, according to the Israeli media channel 14. So they are planning on annexation of the West Bank, including the East Jerusalem as well. One of the things that Marco Rubio and Donald Trump had said that they would not do. Given that the US administration's top brass is in Asia right now, this comes in as the Israeli government is still continuing their pursuit, and Hamas has officially declared that Israel is in a violation of the ceasefire, and it has already killed over 100 people, as you were saying. But one of the things that I think that the mediating nations should try, especially Egypt and Qatar, is for human life to sustain, one must assure clean water. That is where it begins.
Sir, let's go to the expert. He is the expert on international relations, Professor Imtiaz. Sir, I said already, whenever I prepare a question for you, I have to be very cautious and selfish. Sir, how is the renewed violence likely to shape global public opinion and diplomatic relations in the Middle East?
Well, the global opinion has shifted largely in favor of the Palestinians, and I mean even the Western global opinion. If you look the number of European countries who have now agreed to the two-state solution, that has also increased in recent times. Look at the number of protests that we see in Berlin or in New York and some of the European cities. Also will tell you that the world opinion, well, the world opinion in the rest of the world was always pro-Palestine, but in core European or in the West, it was not there. But now it has shifted. But I don't think it's so easy. Whatever Donald Trump wants to do, because the question is who is running the United States? Is it the Israeli lobby, or is it the American lobby? And there are critics who would say the Israeli lobby is running the United States, and they are very powerful, and their access to on different platforms, the media, of course, the military industrial complex, the universities, they have their hands everywhere. So at the end of the day, the American people, I think, have to stop. Unless the American people come out in large numbers, as it has happened in Europe, good number of changes have happened, because large number of Europeans are on the streets protesting whatever their government was doing. So I see the only way out is the American people coming in big way, but it's not easy. It's a difficult task. Trump knows very well. So I don't think whatever Trump is trying to do will a peace will come automatically, because what do you do with the structures that have been created? What do you do with Netanyahu? A lot of people talk about disarming Hamas, but how about disarming Netanyahu to begin with? Because he is the one where the global community would say is responsible for committing genocide. If that is the case, then what do you do? So I don't think we have an easy answer, but I have faith in the American people. I think the American people from time to time have come out and made their correct judgment. So on this also, I think we just have to wait and see when will the American people force their president.
I really appreciate my colleague, our international affairs commentator Shamsul Pantho. He was covering some events in Washington DC. I was talking with him. I said finally ceasefire is going to be held between Israel and Hamas. He listened to me and he finally said, see, this is going to be a fragile ceasefire, and this is happening. I appreciate your prediction. Before I go to a break, I just want to take on one important question from Evita Svedlova, as she has the expertise on biodiversity and climate issues. My question is very simple. Recently we have experienced on Hurricane Melissa and its devastated character. My question for you, Evita, is with extreme weather events increasing worldwide, should wealthy nations bear greater financial responsibility for climate adaptation in developing countries? I want to remember you, Bangladesh is one of the highest victim for climate change issue. Evita Svedlova from Paris, France.
Yes, peace actually beginning with respect for nature, for women, and for every human being. Sometimes the bravest voices are the ones that we cannot hear. But they keep in the fight and the true and the dignity. And I really, what I was saying before, I think that the world needs really the new global alliance, which will look like probably like the 40 Gs that will protect both people and the planet, and they will look how to, it's about diplomacy and geopolitical negotiation, about how to find solution between all the nations and all the ethnies, that we can cohabit together and actually stop to looking for and stealing natural resources from the other countries, and maybe to find cooperation together and start protecting our livelihoods, our lifestyle, and our health. And we are getting in the new era actually, where we are entering artificial intelligence today, and we need to bring together this artificial intelligence with the ancient wisdom. It's like two sides of the same pyramid. So the technology gives you precision, and the wisdom give use a new direction. So we need to really live with the era today, and we are entering a new era of technologies, and we need to probably find the solution to bring a global peace and to start to
all right,
protect
Evita
also in the
Svedlova
same
from
time
Paris, France. Time has come to go for a short commercial break. When we'll be back, we have breaking news regarding Russia-Ukraine war, because Russia is planning to test more missiles with nuclear materials.
বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো ৮০টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant. Crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation. Modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured. Elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gentlemen.
As I said before the break, that there is a breaking news regarding the Ukraine and Russia war. In the ongoing war in Ukraine, Vladimir Putin tested a new nuclear capable missile, raising fears of escalation and undermining peace efforts. I have received news from Russia Today state-owned television. They said Mr. Putin ordered his commanders to go for more tests. Washington has responded on that. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, what is your response on Putin's new step using and testing nuclear missiles?
Yes, we're looking at a high risk, high stake chess game. The United States response is from the president is to immediately start testing after 30 years our nuclear capability in terms of missiles, weapons, and also we are allowing South Korea to have its first nuclear submarine, which is going to be basically consequently made in the United States, Philadelphia, I believe. This is all posturing. Russia has a nuclear capable cruise missiles that supposedly can hit any part of the world. And at the same time, North Korea is being given this technology to do the same thing, to have a nuclear cruise missile also in support of Russia. So we're looking at these type of capabilities to be used as bargaining chips instead of options. The appearance is that we have options that we can use militarily to strike our enemies or perceived enemies, but the intention is never to use this as just a bargaining chip to get what we need. The true issue is trade and commerce.
Norman,
That
we are going
moves
to
the
we are
world.
going to
The
connect
ability
you.
to have
We are
trade.
going to reconnect you in a short while. I am sure, and I have been notified that our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho has more updates. But I want to put one question with this: what does Russia's missile test, nuclear missile test, imply about its strategic intentions and willingness to escalate this war with Ukraine and possibility with other European countries, maybe member of NATO?
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. I just want to put out that today would be quite so important to understand the dynamic of the warfare between Russia and Ukraine. Of course, Vladimir Putin's Russian side had announced that they had tested a new underwater nuclear capable torpedo drone system called the Poseidon torpedo, which could trigger a radioactive tsunami under the oceans. So this is quite the new dynamic of war, if you would call it. But of course, that Kiev had seen over 157 border strikes or the border infighting between the two sides of Russia and Ukraine, which have quite so taken to storm in online media presses. But of course, Volodymyr Zelensky is now seeking more of a support from its immediate neighborhood of Europe, rather than depending on what they had looked for from Pentagon in the United States. Right now, even a couple of days ago, when the leader of Hungary had wanted, of course, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump to come visit. Donald Trump had said, this is not the right time, we can do this later. Of course, these remarks come as an aftermath or as an outcome of when the two leaders met in Alaska way back in August. So once again, immediately after the Russian side had said they are testing nuclear capacities in any kind of format, the United States had also countered by saying that they will also conduct their own nuclear capacities. Let me just tell our viewers that this is quite the posturing on international screens as well as narratives. And one of the things that Donald Trump had said between his discussion with Xi Jinping in South Korea is that they are looking forward to the Chinese side to broker some kind of understanding between Russia and Ukraine, of course, using the help of China. So that is what the international media is telling the international audience.
Sir, I have received news from Moscow personal source, which is not yet disclosed in any global media, that Vladimir Putin ordered his commanders to communicate with Chinese counterpart regarding his next few weeks' plan on facing NATO's activities. I want to come to expert. Sir, what is the impact of continued high-intensity conflict on Ukraine's reconstruction and long-term future along with? I just want to get your take on what are the risk of nuclear brinkmanship in a modern conflict context.
Well, unless you want to commit suicide, that's the only statement I can say when it comes to nuclear weapons. Because there are a good number of countries now possessing nuclear weapons, and to use nuclear weapons like any other weapons, I don't think that option is there any longer. Now, when it comes to testing, keep in mind that what both Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union, and now Russia and United States stopped was the physical testing. The technological testing was always there, in fact.
Yes.
Because technology has reached a point where you can do the testing without having the physical testing. Russia made a difference, largely, I think, to demonstrate probably to the world and to Europe that they are serious when it comes to the issue of Russia-Ukraine war. I think the hype also allows you to negotiate a deal, let's put it that way. When you hype things and you make people terrify, okay, and then you can have a deal, and so better to have a deal rather than go for the nuclear. So we really don't know whether this is a part of diplomacy or not. We have to wait and see. But as I said, any nuclear war is just like committing suicide.
It's a catastrophic situation.
Absolutely.
World will wait. We are talking about war, disaster, developing weapons, but we need to take care of the humanity and civilization in the world. I want to again get back Evita Sedlova from Paris. I like her work and I really appreciate the way she is fighting for the women's empowerment, women's right. Evita, I just want to know, how can global institutions and national governments realistically curb corruption when it is often entrenched within political and economic systems? Because we see in the most of the developing countries, even developed countries, politicians are truly tested, corrupted.
Yeah, some maybe. You have been talking about also women implication in the worldwide political world, and of course there are some corruption between the politicians, but it goes more behind just a simple politician. If there is a corruption, it's because there are a lot of troubles also coming from external than the country. So things are very not easy until we don't meet a global agreement between the nations. Today, actually, you have been talking about women and politics. So it's true improvement, and it goes behind visibility. It means actually equal access to education, credits, and leaderships. I don't mean that women supposed to replace men. Women's supposed to stay at her place and men at her place. It's very important because that's the way the nature making it. But when women lead the social tree, it's become equality and its strength. So it's kind of bring also more like better for the peace negotiations, because the women have this gift to really negotiate better the peace than some men are today, because we are almost always in the wars, and many countries are today, and we have to really find the solution, the really true solution to stop actually this corruption around the world, and stealing another one nations, and the nations start to be corrupt and then try to be treat to the other nation, and then it will never stop until we don't really find this solution. We really need to make this global agreement and go more forward with technologies today. Today humans are capable of have space programs and going to space and explore more far than that. And we need to really create like really health lifestyle on this earth,
Right.
and to create strong humans being.
Right.
That's my vision.
You are
Let me
very
finish.
right,
That's
and
my vision, because
yeah, you are very right, Evita, and you are very
Yeah,
well
I think-
respected for your movement in Europe. I know, I read sometimes news articles, and we are waiting for your new books, Drew Dawkins. I just need to get one comment from Professor
Yeah.
Imtiaz, sir. I just received two development, the missile test with nuclear weapon by Russia may force the international community to refocus on deterrence and strategic stability. On the other side, I have received Ukraine's allies might find renewed consensus on commitment in the face of escalation. I am looking for your comment on these two developments, sir.
Well, it can go both ways. It can accelerate things, but as I said, that I don't think having a nuclear war is an option to anyone. So the other side of such hype would be that they make a deal, because I think deal is very important, whatever the deal is, and we all know that all wars have to end. It may take years, but to stop a war through nuclear weapons, I don't think that's a solution that this particular century can afford, given the fact that there are X number of countries now having nuclear weapons. So the point is, how do you end the war? There again, I think what is important is to see how diplomacy can play a role, which for a while was absolutely absent. Don't forget, it was only Donald Trump who started the diplomacy. Joe Biden did not have any diplomacy when it comes to Ukraine war. He was all through supporting Ukraine with weapons. But here is a president, whether you agree with him or not, that's a different issue. But at least there is diplomacy going on. Even now as we speak, they're working, as I know, some teams are still working to see how they can have a deal. So, so long diplomacy is being played, I think we should, see it positively and hope for the best. But the other option, I don't think is something that anyone, whether in the United States or in the world or in Russia, would welcome. So nuclear weapon is out of the option. Now, how do we resolve it? Let's see what diplomacy can do.
All right, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I just apologize for a very short commercial break. I will be back soon.
Play pool and snooker in International Standard Billiard Zone. World-class gym facility with exclusive equipment for man and woman. a restaurant of delicious local and international cuisine. Fully air-conditioned building with spacious banquet, car lift, sky view rooftop restaurant, all in one. Grand Club Limited, Mirpur 10, Dhaka.
কি এমন জিনিস যেটা সব লোকে খায়, ছোটরা খেলে পরে কেঁদে মায়ের কাছে যায়, বৃদ্ধ লোক খেলে পরে মাথায় দেয় হাত, যুবক যুবতীরা খেলে পরে এদিক ওদিক তাকায়?
ছেড়ে দে শয়তান, ছেড়ে দে, দেহ পেলে আমার মন পাবি না, ছেড়ে দে।
কোন ফলের বীজ নেই বলো দেখি দাদা, বলতে না পারলে হবে তুমি গাধা।
মন্দিরা চক্রবর্তী কার সাথে প্রেম করছে?
আমি এখন মা হতে চলেছে।
চিনেছি তোমারে আকারে প্রকারে, দিনের আলো রাতের আধারে।
কোন বাসায় শুধু
Shamsul Alam Pantho, our international affairs commentator. Don't get me wrong, this morning I was searching South Korean English newspapers about the deal Donald Trump has signed with his South Korean counterpart. Donald Trump administration reached a deal. This is a news deal with South Korea that involves major investments and tariff reductions. And South Korean medias are writing $350 billion force investment request from Trump to South Korea.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. Of course, I want to give some of the context to his trip. These three nations that he visited, Malaysia out of all of them, Japan, and of course South Korea. When he landed in Malaysia, a group of people in Malaysia said, we do not want Trump. Similar happened in South Korea as well. But the South Korean aspect is what you asked me about. Let me break down for our viewers. Almost around 350 billion is what South Korea is going to undertake in investments, commitments to the US economy. This includes $200 billion in direct cash payments capped annually and $150 billion in shipbuilding and industrial corporations. Of course, there was a tariff discussion, a reduction of tariff in the automobile exports, which include autos and auto parts from 25% down till 15%. It goes without to say, when I talk about the automobile industry, Hyundai is one of those companies which is holds the national level kind of reputation from coming from South Korea, and they have a plant. We covered this news on a previous show, but I must mention it today that ICE agents had infiltrated a Hyundai plant, arresting South Korean nationals. This is an event that happened this year. So it's very, the wounds have not healed, and it is quite so complicated between the two parties.
All right, sir. Yesterday I was telling American people are passing some enjoyable days because their president is in a business trip. Their president is in a field trip, and I have been usually criticized by my journalist friends inside Bangladesh. I just want to come to Professor Imtiaz, sir. Sir, my question is, this trip is he's calculating $1 trillion foreign direct investment from his countries like his friends, countries like allies. Do you really think President Trump will be able to bring $1 trillion investment from China, South Korea, Japan, Philippines and Malaysia? Is this a practical thinking right this moment, because world is moving into a recession?
Okay, let's start from the point why this has been done. I think then we'll get the answer. Well, why Donald Trump or the Republican government is doing it is largely because they have a serious debt, $38 trillion debt.
থাকে দরজা জানালা ছাদ কিছুই থাকে না।
পা, পায়ের নুপুর, ছন্দ, মনে হচ্ছে কি ছু দিয়ে জাদু মন্ত্র।
এক্স্যাক্টলি।
পায়রে নুপুরা
অরিক্স স্পেশাল সেলিব্রিটি শো তারকার ঝলক দেখবেন প্রতি শুক্রবার রাত 9:30 মিনিটে।
ভালোবাসা একবার তুমি বউ কইরা দেখো।
হ্যাঁ গো,
আর কত দূর?
আরে আমি তো ফিডের গাড়ির লগে।
তো তোমার গরু হাঁস মুরগি মাছ তো অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে।
কি কও অনশন শুরু কইরা দিছে কেডা হাঁস মুরগি মাছ
States. Okay, let's talk about $350 billion Korean investment in the United States. Whatever you are going to invest, at the end of the day, it has to make profit. If they don't make profit, and how do you make profit? It's the labor which makes profit. If your labor cost is higher, and if some weird countries in Asia or in Africa, and I'm using the weird because I really don't know which country, can offer similar goods cheap, people will go there. Simple as that. So my point here is, I don't know whether it has been thought out very seriously where this investment will happen. And as I said, even if it is, let's take shipbuilding. Okay, shipbuilding investment in the United States. The shipbuilding in the United States would be costlier than any shipbuilding in Bangladesh. I can write it down. Simple as that.
Right.
So my point is, that's a way to do, cut down. I think the far better would be, and there are some American critics who have really said,
right, sir. We are
just one line,
yes, sir.
just one line. The far better way would be to cut down on the 700 military bases that they have globally. You just make it 50%. Cut them out. You can solve your deficit.
Absolutely, sir. We are really running out of time, but I want to give very special thanks to Evita Svedlova. Evita, you are becoming very popular among the Bangladeshi audience, and they are asking me often when your book will be available in Bangladesh and will it be in Bengali version. On the other side, people are requesting Norman to come to Bangladesh to sit in the studio. I really appreciate both of you for your contribution to ACTV's International Affairs. I wish you a very good day. We will see you again Sunday, and a special thanks to Professor Imtiaz for his very in-depth analysis, and we have very great respect for him for his outstanding knowledge on this particular. Thank you, sir. You too. We will see you on Sunday.